Well, good early evening to everyone, and I'd like to call this meeting of the swearing in of our new board member, Mr. Wayne Beam, and the returning board members, Mr. Tony Rose and myself, Allison Gant. At this time, I'd like to invite Judge Brown forward, who is going to be doing the swearing in, and family members who are supporting their spouses, please come forward as well.
Go down.
Go down there. Everybody stare at you.
I told Adam he'd hold the Bible for me.
Do we have to twice?
My Bible's on my phone. Is that all right?
Hey,
How are you?
I'll be back when we're back at school.
Patsy, you used to be Tony's board wife. Do you want us to go up there and stand beside you?
You got a minute?
We do it all at the same time?
We do. Would you like your wife to assist in holding?
Thank you.
Look at that teamwork. Look at that.
This is complicated.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. At this time, we're going to go ahead and swear in our new board members. I would like to say before I begin, I'm excited. I'm excited about the Alamance Burlington school system and everything all of each of you are going to do to make sure our children are taken care of. I would just encourage you at the end of the day, with every decision you make, always ask yourself, how is this going to benefit our children? But I'm excited. If everybody can raise your left hand and place your right hand on the Bible, and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Wayne Beam,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be
which are or may be
established for the government thereof,
established for the government thereof,
and that I will well,
and that I will well,
truly, and faithfully
truly, and faithfully
execute and discharge
execute and discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a board member
as a board member
of the Alamance Burlington Board of Education,
of the Alamance Burlington Board of Education,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, everybody. Thank you all so much for having me. God bless you.
Hey, I feel like, am I married? Straight
Say I do.
I did.
Thank you, Judge Brown.
Move we adjourn.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Y'all, if I could have just a minute.
I don't
This
know.
is Nancy Toney. Nancy Toney hired me, my first teaching job at Andrews Elementary in 1977.
Oh, boy.
She worked in Burlington City Schools for 40 years, 30 years as an administrator.
Wow.
Gracious.
And you may have stood up with Nancy retired.
She picked well, Wayne.
So at this time, we will adjourn this meeting, and we will reconvene at 6:30 for our standing evening meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm gonna make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. We stand adjourned until 6:30. Thank you. Gavel, that's yours.
The organizational meeting of the Alamance Burlington Board of Education is called to order. We have a quorum present. I would like to note we have Mr. Feely joining us by phone. The purpose of this meeting is the election of board officers. The first order of business is the election of the chair. Just a reminder, nominations do not need a second. Do I hear nominations for the office of board chair?
I nominate Allison Gant as for chair.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. All in favor of accepting the nomination of Ms. Gant for chair? And we're going to do a roll call. Just
Mr. Rose,
Yay.
Mr. Van Pelt,
Yay.
Ms. Gant,
Yes.
Ms. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yeah.
Mr. Feely.
Your turn, Brian.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to
Thank
hand
you.
the gavel over to
Okay. Where am I going?
Gant. We're right here.
Okay. So at this time, do I hear a nomination for the office of vice chair?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Brian Feely as vice chair.
Great. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed.
Yay.
Mr. Rose, Mr. Van Pelt,
Yes.
Ms. Gant,
Yes.
Ms. Simpson, Ms. Simpson,
Abstention.
Okay.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Feely.
Your turn, Brian.
Yes.
Okay,
Nomination is accepted.
great. Thank you. And just want to extend my appreciation to the board for your confidence in me to continue to serve as your chair. Brian, do you have anything?
I similarly look forward to working with each member of the board to continue to advance our mission. And thanks for the support that was given.
Well, thank you. And we're going to move on to our meeting. So we have to close that.
I
So
move
have
we
to-
adjourn.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Now I bring this meeting to order of our December 12th Alamance Burlington Board of Education meeting to order. I would like to take just a moment to welcome Commissioner Gailey and newly elected Commissioner Steve Carter. We appreciate you being here this evening. And I'd also like to recognize Erica Johnson with ABAE, who is with us this evening. So thank you again for being here. At this time, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence, and then Ms. Simpson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's take a moment of silence.
Could we stand for the pledge, please? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this time, board members, you were giving sort of a heads up that we were going to remove some things from our agenda this evening due to the weather situation and wanting to get everyone home safely this evening. So we will be adjusting the agenda. We will do, of course, our public comments and approval of minutes in a moment. We will stay with D 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are our gifts. We're removing everything under E, curriculum and instruction. We will maintain everything under F, operations. We will remove G, superintendent and finance, items 1 and 2. So at this time, I would need a motion for those recommendations to amend our agenda.
I make the motion that we accept the agenda as amended.
Thank you,
Second.
Steve. Thank you, Tony. Any discussion?
When you say we're moving them due to the weather, does that mean they'll automatically go on next month's, or on the work session?
Yes, ma'am. They'll all move to work session. Any other questions or comments? Okay. So all those in favor of accepting the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. At this time, you've had an opportunity to review our board minutes. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any discussion?
Jump in and say yay.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Wonderful. Thank you. At this time, we will move to public comment, but I do want to make note that the board meetings may be seen on Spectrum Channel 5 and 10 every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and every Saturday at 10 a.m. So at this time, I have 2 requests for public comment, and the first one is Erica Johnson with ABAE, and we invite you to the podium.
Good evening. I'm Erica Johnson, and I stand here on behalf of Alamance Burlington Association of Educators. I'd like to begin by saying welcome, Mr. Beam, to the board. You look good in that seat. And as for Ms. Gant and Mr. Rose, we look forward to the opportunity to continue to work with you to create incredible change and progress here in the ABSS educational experience. Public officials have a duty and a special responsibility to uplift rather than to tear down, and to unify rather than to divide. A voice spoke for children and for students at the last school board meeting, a voice that continues to sound. The problem is, it shouldn't continue to speak this same issue 55 years after Martin Luther King Jr. gave his speech, his I Have a Dream speech. If we round up, that's almost 60 years ago, and 63 years after Brown versus Board of Education ruling. The voice was of a mother's cry. The mother's plea was that we, and I emphasize we strongly, consider banning Confederate flags from the dress code. The mother's plea was that we include minorities in the district school-wide population so that they feel safe, that we work to protect them and their interests. The mother's cry asked that our district look into creating opportunities and more training for school administrators on how to manage a large student population that consists of a majority that has been made to feel superior and privileged. Ms. Tysinger said, "We are failing as a district at providing a safe, fair, and equal environment." What stuck out to me is Ms. Tysinger continued to use we. She included herself in the solution. And it says she hasn't lost faith in us, even after her 2 children have been bullied, racially discriminated against, tactics of intimidation and passive-aggressive behavior, after she had gone through various channels, after 2 long weeks of investigating the issue, after disciplinary action only resulting in students being chewed out and sent back to class, where data shows children of color, mostly black males, are likely suspended at 3 times the rate, not because of what they've done, but because of who they are. She pleads for a solution. She pleads for accountability. ABAE is here to plead for a sense of urgency, not tokenism, but a sense of urgency. We place SRO officers in our buildings and talk about Sandy Hook to keep our students safe. Where is the safety for her children? In the strategic plan, there is mention for consistent accountability and adherence of support. There's mention of developing and implementing a continuous improvement model to reflect and monitor, to find mechanisms for accountability and support and visible self-reflection. A great educator reflects and brings awareness to him of her or herself. When schools are failing, we have school improvement plans. The plan we propose is Racial Equity Institute Workshop. It helps individuals and institutions practice reframing problems and determining solutions with equity lens, not putting a Band-Aid on it. It brings awareness and analysis to the root and causes of disparities and disproportionality in order to create racial equity in organizations and systems. Dr. Benson, we agree, we need to tie this to student outcomes of all of our students. The strategic plan talks about communicating to parents and the community. Let's communicate by action, not only to Ms. Tysinger, that Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. Let's have ABSS take its seat at the table at the Racial Equity Institute Workshop, where all the other stakeholders and other community leaders have already. Let's begin with you all. The workshop will be held in March. ABAE would like to request a small time slot to present along with an area representative during a work session to present the benefits and impact of this workshop and the awareness it can bring, how necessary it is, how urgent we need it. We believe this is the answer to Ms. Tysinger's cry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And Mr. Pardue?
Dr. Benson, board, and staff, thank you for letting me speak. I'd like to thank you for the talking about Graham Middle School, North Graham Middle School. I'd like to thank you for the maintenance that has started on the school, and it's not complete yet, as Dr. Thornton had committed to. But I look forward to a walkthrough when he says it's completed, so that we'll know that the work is in progress. I also like to keep reminding you that he's not committed to fixing the windows down there at with this first process. But he says that they do need to be replaced or repaired. And I'd like to ask that to be done by the school year starting 2019 to school year, which is, I think it starts around in Graham around July. So if you could do that, I'd be most appreciative, and the citizen Graham and Johnson Heights community would be most pleased by it too, because it needs some work. And also another thing I'd like to ask you too, with this new schools coming in and new school changes in the Alamance County, I hope you will brainstorm the issue of maybe Graham High School and Cummins High School combining their athletic program together, using the Cummins campus to play their sports. By that way, you could save money and bring the two schools together and let Graham be your first response academy. And I think that would be a benefit to the citizens and the students of Alamance County. I discussed this when I went up to meet Mr. Bean, and he can probably tell you my thoughts more than I can tell you my thoughts right now too. But I appreciate your effort in helping us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardue. We appreciate your advocacy for our students. At this time, Mr. Alexander, I believe you have some gifts for us this evening.
Good evening, Chair Gant, Board, Dr. Benson. This evening I bring you 5 gifts for approval. The first being Western Middle School has received a donation of $5,000 for the Pamela Moody Children's Fund from Ronnie Moody of Burlington, North Carolina. The donation is earmarked to fund field trips, school supplies, and other needs to assist students' academic, social, and emotional growth at Western Middle School. Highland Elementary School has received a donation of $1,000 from Martin Marietta Aggregates of Burlington, North Carolina. The donation is earmarked to support student needs at Highland Elementary School. Highland has also received an additional donation of $7,500 from the Highland Elementary PTO of Burlington, North Carolina. It's earmarked to purchase Chromebooks for students at the Highland Elementary School. Broadview Middle School has received a donation valued at $9,700 from National Pawn of Burlington. The donation is earmarked for the band department at Broadview Middle School. And last, Alexander Wilson Elementary School has received a donation of $3,500 from LabCorp of Burlington. Of Burlington, North Carolina. The donation is earmarked for the Mad Science program at Alexander Wilson. The gift totals year to date, $100,373.35. Asking for approval.
If it's the pleasure of the board, we'll take all these gifts in one vote. So if you're amenable to that, may I have a motion to accept these gifts?
I'll make a motion, we accept those gifts.
Thank you, Pam.
Second.
Thank you, Wayne. First official act. Any discussion or questions for Mr.
I
Alexander?
have one question. You say this year, is this current school year beginning July the 1st?
Yes, sir.
Total, okay, thank you.
I just have a comment, and it's regarding the National Pond donation to Broadview Middle School, the $9,700, which I think some of it was in cash, but mostly it was in band instruments. That is going to help Broadview to really expand their program. It was such a generous gift from them. I wish did they know about this tonight? I wish they could have come. And for those of you who was not at the presentation by them, to just to see that stage full of those instruments and knowing that those children are children that without this donation could not participate in band. This is not like for them to have an instrument at school and an instrument at home. This is really expanding that program. And, I know we send thank yous, but this is a program that I've noticed that they're doing it in several counties. But I want them to know how much I truly, truly appreciate that donation. It's quite significant, and it's going to really make a difference in the lives of children. We know how important the arts are for children, and I from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say it was a beautiful day, and Mr. Milton is going to bring. He's such a wonderful band teacher. And I'm looking forward to giving children opportunities in the arts that would not have normally had that.
Thank you, Patsy.
Thank you.
All in favor?
I was like, did we vote? Okay, all in favor of accepting these gifts, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Got me sidetracked, Miss Patsy. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Okay, Dr. Thorpe, we're going to move to your presentation. You have 3 to bring to us this evening.
We'll go here. Good evening, Chair Gant, Board of Ed, Dr. Benson. I bring to you a request from Duke Power for an easement to connect this power transformer to this power transformer. They call it closing the loop. And speaking with our electricians, this is going to definitely benefit us as we have issues with power at Western Middle. And by offering this easement, it will benefit us of, hopefully lose power a lot less often than we do now. It's running right up next to the tree line, which is the line of our property. Adam and his crowd has looked at the easement. They've added verbiage to the easement. Duke Power's accepted their verbiage. We just need your approval.
Just for my own orientation, where is the actual front of Western Middle? Is it?
Right here.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Just a quick question. If and when we approve this, how soon can this be done, or when will it be done?
The reason for the urgency is we're hoping they can get it completed over Christmas break,
Okay.
where it doesn't interfere with our students or on our campus.
Okay.
Why was that an interest? What brought this about?
The power outages in that area.
How high? Oops, excuse me, Pam, I'm sorry. When you say, I know what an easement is, give them the right to access, but what are they constructing? Is it going to be?
Nothing. It's in the ground.
It's going to be in the ground.
In the ground. You won't see a thing. It's just all below ground.
Is this only to serve the school, or is it serving other areas?
It'll serve the community as well in that area.
Did they offer any cash to us?
Not Duke Power.
Did we ask?
Y'all are smiling. Are y'all Duke Power?
No.
They're like, no.
They've worked with Duke Power before.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, I'll accept a motion to accept the request from Duke Power for the easement.
So moved.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah,
And second for Tony. Any further discussion or questions for Dr. Thorpe? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Okay, we will move to Highland Elementary grounds improvement.
Right. The Burlington City Council, as it says in your document, they approved an apartment complex contingent on our approval of the improvements that we've requested at Highland. The traffic flow at Highland, as you know, we back kids up on the Bonner, we back cars up on the Bonner Ridge as it is now. The improvements that they have agreed to do upon your approval, they will add us an extra entrance lane. So now we'll have 2 entrance lanes coming into the school, where right now you have 2 coming in, but then it breaks down to 1 right here because they have to have a way to get cars in and out of this parking lot if they so choose. This will give us an extra lane coming in. Then we can dedicate a lane going out. Excuse me, we can dedicate a lane coming in just to get to the parking lot itself. So if you need to go in with your teachers and stuff, see your teachers or whatever. Right now, parents are being backed up in the line, and like I said, we're backing cars up. As far as the fire department, on Bonner Bridge at this point, so we're obstructing traffic with our car riders. So this would give us an opportunity for this. Then by doing this, we got a committed lane coming in, the widening of this entrance right here. If you can see right here, it's really narrow. So widen this area to allow plenty of room for traffic to go back and forth. Also, it'll allow a free lane for our buses to come in because they go to the back of the school. The proposal is to, right now, if you walk the sidewalks to Highland, you have to walk here, you have to cross traffic here, you have to walk all the way down to here, and you have to cross traffic here. And there's traffic moving at all times pretty much in those areas. This would put us a sidewalk here, a sidewalk along the outside edge of our property, a distinguished or a notable crosswalk here, a 4-foot chain link fence between the curb. So if a kid's walking down through there, you don't have to worry about them falling out in the traffic. So to create a safety issue, create a safe environments for kids to walk, they will put in a crosswalk right here for the apartment complex that's located somewhere up in this vicinity. ADA ramps and crosswalks will be put in here. A lot of work that we probably need to do on our own, but that's their agreement to do with putting in the apartment.
They.
Who is that?
Oh, y'all. Okay.
These gentlemen right here.
Developer for the apartment?
They're the developer for the apartment, correct. This is something we've done with others, but very small scale. This is a large scale project.
I was gonna say, how big is this apartment and how many children is that gonna, you're estimating to come into that elementary school?
Can I talk from here, or do I need to?
Go to the mic,
Come
please.
to the microphone. That'd be great. If you'll just state your name and who you're with for our records, that'd be great.
I'm Adam Tucker with Zimmer Development Company. We're out of Wilmington, North Carolina. The ultimate apartment complex build out will be about 300 units. We're going to do that in 2 phases. So the first phase will be roughly 220 or so. The majority of the market that we see is young families that are in transition. They are market rate apartments. When we ran our analysis, we actually took the existing population of the school and did 150% of that. So we've actually calculated this at 50% over capacity from a traffic standpoint. So these improvements, no matter how the school grows in the future, will handle the additional capacity of students. As far as the number of students that we see coming, it's a negligible amount. I can't remember off the top of my head, but based on just historical data, we don't see it being a major impact to what's there now.
Have you guys had other builds here in Alamance County that you've done?
We built and we still own the shops at Waterford on University and Church Street. We do not own the restaurant that's being built right now on the corner. We sold that parcel, but we do own the shopping center and the shops out front and the CVS, and we've owned that for 11 years now, I think.
Do you own any other apartment complexes?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you own apartment complexes of this size?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We have, the closest one is, and I don't know if you've been to Chapel Hill recently, if you come in on Martin Luther King at the intersection, the first intersection you come to on the right, we're the first complex there.
Okay, and it's about this size, 300 units?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have no idea what the impact was on the school?
I'd have to go back and pull it out to see. I didn't bring that with me.
Okay, and is this contingent upon the city of Burlington approving your plans?
They've approved it.
They've approved it, but is it contingent upon us approving this?
Yes, ma'am.
If we don't approve this, then they don't approve your plan, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we worked really hard with staff and planning board and the community as well. And this really came out of the community input. They were concerned with the additional traffic on Bonner Bridge, that this already does back up and without any additional traffic. So.
And I understand that, but I'm more interested in the impact on the schools, of which we have to accommodate no matter what, but it would be nice to know exactly what impact that will specifically have on our schools, considering that quite a bit of our schools are overcrowded, although this feeds into what? Williams now and Turntine?
Yes.
Which is?
Not over. How much?
We have a minimal amount of 3-bedroom apartments. The majority of them are 2-bedroom.
How much will they, what will they rent for?
They're the 1-bedrooms are like $850, and the 2-bedrooms are $1250, and the 3-bedrooms are $1350 to.
You won't have a whole lot of young families with little kids, I would.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think it's going to be mainly
now,
people.
Where do the buses come in over here, Todd?
The buses come in. Right now, they're using these double lanes right here.
Mm-hmm.
They come and they go right down this road, and they park in the back of the school.
And I believe you shared, sir, that this has been shared with the principal and staff.
Oh, yes, sir.
And
yes,
how did they feel about this?
Jay Fuller and myself met with the city and everything, and we shared this with Holly Robeski, and felt good that, she would actually have a lane of traffic coming out now. Really liked the idea of the sidewalk with the fence. We had talked about the sidewalk. She brought up the fence for safety, which I think was an excellent idea. So, overall, I think it's going to improve the flow of traffic. We had a drone video that we watched, and we had several cars that were near misses, people trying to pull in and out of traffic right there with as much traffic as on that road.
So will the exit out be a right turn only, or can you go right or left?
It'll be a right turn only,
So exiting out of the school property would be right only.
so it'll keep your traffic flow moving.
And on the double lanes coming in, does that double lane go all the way to where students get dropped off? And do they use a double lane drop-off pickup?
It goes to double lane to somewhere in here. It'll stay double lane, but it goes double lane in here. They have a faculty member who lets it merge, who directs traffic.
Okay.
And they merge it into a single lane for drop-off.
Okay.
It's not like Southern Middles. We use a single lane for the elementary kids.
What you're talking about coming in, is that extension going to go toward the school or toward the parking lot to double those lanes?
You're talking about right in here?
When you're coming in to pick up, that's going to be 2 lanes all the way, right?
This lane and this lane is our existing lane.
Right, but when you
The
come in-
outside lane is the proposed lane. It'll feed back into our original 2 lanes.
Okay.
It'll
You're
feed back into
staging
our
a lot
original.
more cars off the road.
Yes, sir, we'll be able to do, right now, they double stack cars to here, then they start single stacking, and it backs out into the road. Like this, they can double stack cars all the way to the road, which should get all our cars off of Bonner Bridge, which, like I said, is safer for families.
Just to talk about something else besides stacking cars, if you go into McIntosh on the lake, there's an awful lot of sidewalks. It's a good place, a good community to walk in, and this sidewalk that you're showing up here in the upper left-hand corner, that does already go to McIntosh on the lake, does it not?
Correct.
Okay. Do we anticipate this obviously it's going to make it safer for kids to get to that sidewalk and to walk home? I just don't know how many students might be walking.
We don't either. Ms. Robreski shared that, parents say they're concerned even walking their kids to school right now because of having to cross right here. This would make it safer for them. And of course, when the apartment complex is built, or if the apartment complex is built, we would assume a lot of those students would walk if they were coming to school.
I probably should know this, but I don't. What is capacity at Highlands, and how many students are currently there? Does anybody know?
I bet Mr. Brother knows.
And with that's my issue, because when this first came up in the paper and the people in that community, that's what they were given as a reason why they did not want the apartment complex, is the impact that it would have on their schools. I love the design. I understand the concept. I've been involved in the traffic on it in there. All of that's great. But my interest is not with apartments. My interest is in our school system and protecting our kids and our facilities. Sure. And, to come before us, and nobody brought a projection of the impact on the school itself in terms of student is just not good.
My attorney just reminded me that it was around 20 students. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, tell me something. Don't tell me you didn't come in here prepared.
No, I'm sorry. We came prepared. We thought that this had all been, brought before you as far as you knew this was coming, and it was more just talking about the traffic piece of it is what we were here to.
So impact.
I always, when you come before the school board, know that our number one interest is our safety, our children, and our schools.
And this is certainly addressing a huge safety issue out there now. And part of the issue is, and for whatever reason, when this school was built, there was no traffic study done whatsoever. So no one had any type of plan on how this was going to work. And now that it's out there, it's not working. So we're trying to help alleviate that.
Todd, what in estimated cost, what would it cost us if we did all this work ourselves?
My best guesstimate would be probably around $500,000 or so.
So they're contributing about $500,000.
That would be my best guess.
That's what I figured.
Yes, sir.
Jeff pulled it up on the minutes, 30 students, not 20. Sorry.
30?
30.
Okay, it's better. I'm sitting here thinking 150. No way. So,
That's our capacity.
okay.
Don't want to get you all,
Okay.
Dr. Thorpe, I have a question or I have a comment.
That's a whole lot better.
I have a couple of comments. As I'm sitting here listening to this, I just wanted to, I know it's not related to this, but I just wanted to bring to mind that the new Elon Elementary School is likewise in a neighborhood, and it has a fire department just down the street. So I just wanted to say that I hope that we are planning the laneage as we are planning what's going to happen to traffic there, because I think it's going to be necessary to get all the traffic off of that road. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And I can answer that question. Actually, DOT has did a study and told us how many feet of staging area we need. That's the reason the drive looks twisted in the front. That was to
It's that way at Simpkins too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we was just trying to stage as many cars off that main road.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the multiple lanes, and that would go to the width of the pavement. So I just thought that. The other thing I just wanted to have a comment, kind of based off what Ms. Simpson was talking about, is, and this is our first board meeting since the election, and I'm sure we'll have some comments later, but I just wanted to say that I'm appreciative that the community passed with such a wide margin the bond referendum that we had, and the community obviously sees what we see. The point that I would make here is that the municipalities within Alamance County are not waiting for the schools to deal with issues before they're doing their expanding, and that's especially true in the east side of the county and the other growing municipalities. And so I think that we have to recognize that there's a need for growth, and we're responding to that with the community's responding to that with the bond, and we're going to be addressing that with what we've said we're going to do with that bond money. But this is an example of that the growth is coming, and we've got to respond to it.
I find it interesting there wasn't a traffic study done prior to that, because layperson looking at that, golly, we'll never have a problem with all that pavement, and it just doesn't work out that way, like turn time.
Right.
I make a motion that we accept the easement for Holland not easement,
The proposed improvements.
The Holland Elementary.
Second.
pattern.
Okay, thank you, Patsy, thank you, Steve. Are there any additional questions? Brian, I don't want to leave you out. Do you have anything?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, great. Any further discussion or questions?
Do you guys, when you're putting out your bids, do you try and use local cement,
We actually
pavement, blah,
got
blah,
a
blah?
bid from a local contractor today, not for this particular piece because we didn't know exactly what was
Right.
going to happen, but for the on-site. You probably know them, they're about a half a mile from this site, so
Got it.
we certainly do.
That's good. We got some excellent companies here in the county.
And upon approval, I'll work with Adam to draft a letter out with our requirements as far as them being on our property and timeframes and those type of
How's
things.
this gonna interfere? Will most of the work be done during the summer, or will it interfere with traffic patterns?
That's
No?
the goal would be to get everything approved and permitted this spring and then be ready to hit the ground running when students are out in the summer.
Okay.
And so we'll actually have these in place probably well before the apartments come, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we have a first and a second. If there are no additional comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Best of luck to you.
All right,
You
thank you.
put a new sign
Thank y'all for coming.
Talking about the
Thank you.
difference.
Yes, ma'am, we'll work with signage and all that
How
good stuff. They'll work with us
We
on
get
putting signage
pictures
and what we need there.
of patterns, we do the same thing over and over.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked a lot with Nolan and those guys over at Transportation, Mike at Transportation about signage too already. so.
Might need to blink or something.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys. All right.
Thank you. Okay. And Dr. Thorpe, I believe you have one additional for performance contracting.
Last for performance contracting, you were given a schedule, a draft schedule back at our meeting, and we approved it after we went to LGC and got their opinion of some things and with some changes. This is the final. So the total loan, $8,060,000. They said we needed approval also for the $200,000 that's interest, and that the money that we were going to use to pay for the legal fees and some third party, we had to include it back into this. It doesn't mean we have to draw it down, but we did have to include it into the schedule.
So making it understandable is that when you went to the bank, they are or the LGC is requiring us to put the payments for
Right, into the schedule,
the entire
correct.
loan. It's not what we had planned to do, but it's the requirement that the local government commission is requiring us to do. And performance contracting should be able to pay, we should have those savings to pay
Yes, ma'am.
this. So we're not really,
You're not out any different
Out any
money.
different
It's
money.
just, the savings will pay for everything. We had to guarantee, or Brady Train USA had to guarantee that to the LGC as well as to us. So the payments will pay it.
And the additional amount does fall under that guarantee?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The whole amount files under the guarantee.
What kind of legal fees are we talking? You got any kind of idea what you're adding in there?
It's what we've, like for our bond attorney who takes care of the loan and stuff, her fee, and our third-party engineer that we had to hire, and his fee.
Okay.
I make a motion to proceed with the performance contract as per staff's recommendation.
Second.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion or questions for Dr. Thorpe?
Yeah, is it too late to add the windows for Graham Middle School in there?
Sorry, that didn't qualify.
I thought at one time we talked about windows.
If we had had enough savings, when they first calculated, when Tim presented this 3 years ago, he estimated we had about $12 million of possible money we could borrow to with savings. When they did the actual study, when they went in and studied every building, we capped out right at $8.5 million.
And this is mainly for the lights and the boilers.
This will will replace all the lights except for Pleasant Grove and due to the renovations at Pleasant Grove. And it will give us 6 chillers.
Chillers, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Same difference as cold air or hot air.
But if you find that we do have that money, for some reason, it's like, oh, we got all this extra, you can whip out them windows real
Yeah,
quick.
anything we got from savings on that, we could use towards that if there's any additional savings. Yes, ma'am. We just can't include it in the loan because there's not a guarantee
Okay.
that the savings would be there.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Forgot it.
No, after we do this motion, can we make a motion that any money saved from this performing contract, if we have any left, that it be dedicated to project at Graham Middle School?
Let's take our first year savings. Let's do it on the first year. Let's wait till we get to the first year and see where we're at. That would be my recommendation.
Put turn time right there. with
So
Graham Middle
noted
School.
for it to come back up in 1 year.
I agree.
All right.
So we have a first and we have a second. Any further questions? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, just to clarify, you're getting 7-0 votes because Brian is saying aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this time, we'll move to board and superintendent comments. So I'm going to start with Tony this evening and come down the table. So Tony, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I wanted to,
Just louder, if you could.
can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, Tony, may I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Sure.
Going back to that, is Adam in the meeting?
He is.
Adam, in the board agenda online, it has a note that struck me. It said, requested a simple verbal and then a quote for how to proceed with the motion. Do you need that specifically worded for the vote that we just took regarding performance contracting, or the way that we just did it, will that suffice?
I did read it that way, Brian.
And the way that it was done would suffice. We were just trying to indicate that a simple verbal motion would suffice. So I'm good, and I appreciate you asking.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, Mr. Rose?
I just wanted to say that I attended the Elf Junior musical at Woodlawn Middle School a couple of Fridays ago, and it was very well done, and we have some very talented students, as we all know, but I just wanted to give appreciation to the staff that clearly worked a lot of hours outside of work to help them put that on, and I enjoyed that, and it was a great event. So I just wanted to express appreciation for that. And I also wanted to recommend a book to the board. I just finished reading this book called Something Must Be Done About Prince Edward County. It's by Kristen Green, and I read it for personal reasons, but I found it as a board member to be very insightful, and I thought that it might be something that the rest of you guys would like to read. It is, we all know about the history of desegregation in the Brown versus Board of Education. What's unique about this book, as it kind of goes through that history, is it's you kind of get a front row seat from the writer, who is the daughter and granddaughter of folks who attended the all-white private school that was created for the purpose of continuing segregation. And the result in this county, it was the only county in the country that closed down their public schools for 5 years. And so she interviews a lot of folks, and the interviews bring back stories for the impact that this had on literally generations of people in that county. And so I, what hit me in the book was the gravity of the decisions that we make as board members and how it affects the lives of people. And so her unique experience is that she is a investigative reporter, and when she moved back home to this town, which is in Farmville, Virginia, she discovered that her grandfather was part of the leadership movement to create this private all-white school. And so part of the book is some of her personal struggle with her family's interaction in that. But anyway, it's a great book, and I'd love to talk to you about it, and I'd like to recommend that you take time to read it. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Steve?
Well, it's interesting, Tony, that I just heard about that book. Usually I don't watch television on Sunday morning because I'm in church, but we didn't have church Sunday morning, and I was watching one of the talk shows on TV, and that book name came up, and that was on my list to get it. So if you finish, when you finish it, I'd love to read that. But just a few things. First of all, congratulations to Alice and Tony and Wayne on being on the Board of Education again, or for the first time in Wayne's case, for the next 4 years. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. And secondly, I'm just going to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Patsy?
In regards to the book, not too far from my hometown, and I have relatives that lived in Red House, Virginia, which is not too far from there. I belong to a sorority that we started as a result of the segregation. We started the first bookmobile, was also in that county. And I just have to tell you a joke. We used to go to Prince Edward Lake when I was growing up as a kid. And the black people would be at the upper part of the lake and the white people was at the bottom. And we used to say, well, you know, at least our water ran down on them. That was the story.
It's like Jack and Jill that he
There
talks
you
about
go.
all the time.
We had the clean water up there, went down there. But anyway, I lived through those years. Let's see. A couple things. Now, I thought we got this straight. This is in regards to Erica's comment. I thought we looked at our policy, our dress code policy, after the parent smoke at the last meeting. And the language in there was of such nature that it basically did, in fact, ban offensive T-shirts. Am I not correct on that?
Any offensive symbol.
Any offensive symbol.
Any offensive symbol. So is it clear, very clear, that there is no other action in terms of specific if a student at that particular school would wear something of that nature again? It is clear that the principal will tell them that they would have to change. Is that correct?
I yield to Dr. Benson.
Because that was the issue, is that we've always had a policy, but we don't have uniformity in how that policy is carried out.
Well, when I played with school administration, the language was if it caused a disruption to the educational process, then one could deal with that. We're saying two different things here. Just because you wear something that's offensive doesn't mean it causes a disruption. And I don't know what public school law now says, but public school law used to say it had to be a disruption. Is that correct?
We want us to fight as opposed to me telling you just not to wear? Is that what you want me to do?
No, ma'am, I'm just telling you what I think the law is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want it to be clear because this has been going on too long at this particular school. Okay? And children are being harmed and people are being bullied and people are being whatever, I ain't gonna say racially targeted, but it's offensive. So I need to know specifically from our attorney, based upon our current policy, do I have to make a motion to specifically state that there is going to be a ban on the wearing of the Confederate flag, a ban on black, what is it called, Black Lives Matter, whatever. But we need some uniformity in our school system so that we know what our policy is truly stating. So what do we need to do about that? And I know we got to get home tonight.
No, it's okay.
So,
it's okay.
Yeah, and I'll look at the policy. Generally, the law is causes or is reasonably likely to cause an actual disruption, and then you can look at the specific context, the history, things that are going on in the school. You don't actually need to wait until someone gets hurt because of wearing certain
well, we've
clothes.
had a pattern since I've been on this board and even before at this particular school. So I don't understand why, if in fact what was shared with us at the last board meeting, where it was implied that it was not against our rules. So whatever it takes to fix that is what I'm requesting be done so that we will not have another parent stand before this board saying that their children were offended by the wearing of the Confederate flag or display of it or anything else in that regards, okay? So whatever it takes, and we'll follow up at the next meeting, whether it's to change the policy or a memo to all staff, to all principals, or what, but we need clarification. The second item, Mr. Perdue, I'm glad that, they got rid of the cleaned up the picnic tables. I talked with them about the dumpsters around the back. So let it be known, I appreciate you and the community bringing this to our attention. It is a funding issue in regards to the windows and other work that's necessary. But as you can see from the discussion tonight, it will be in the forefront, and we will try to make the improvements. It's depending on funding at this point. But anything beyond that, let us know, and Dr. Thorpe, and we will be happy to do what we can to try to help with the beautification at Graham Middle. Back to Ms. Johnson, I don't have a problem tending the racial justice, of which Mr. Bird back there does a lot of work. I'm appreciative of him for that. However, you know, that's something that each one of us could go as board members, but it's a climate within the school system and within each school. That's why we have the situation that we had at I think that was Southern Middle, Southern High, or whatever. So whatever we can do to be a part of that, I'm sure it would be considered board training. I personally would like to attend that, and thank you for bringing that to our attention as a possible solution to some of the racial equities or inequities that we have in our school. And the last thing, with all this snow and rain and whatnot, I've gotten several calls, and I've discussed it with the superintendent and with the finance officer before we came in here. And I was just curious as to why, and I used the term flexi place because I was a federal government employee, and when you worked at home, it was called flexi. It gives you the flexibility that due to the nature of your work, that you have the ability to work at home so that you won't have to take sick leave and or annual leave, particularly with the hurricanes and with all the snow and probably more snow. So I would like to make a request to our attorney to see if he can get some draft information, some information as to put a policy, and of course with the approval of the superintendent, to implement a flexi place or work at home policy for our staff. And that would be for anyone where that's applicable. You know, if you're out there driving a bus, of course you can't work at home. But if you are a teacher, I can see you grading papers at home. Or if you are a finance officer doing something at home. And I think it needs to be uniform. I do not believe it needs to be based upon the principals at any given school giving employees that right. It is now almost 2019, we're in the 21st century, and we as a school system need to get there. Flexi place, work at home is something that most companies give to their employees, and I'm requesting that we get some type of draft policy, and we put that very soon on our, on the next, can we do it at the next, or how long I don't know how long you need, Adam, but within the next month or two, if we could put that on a work session, a draft. And then the last thing, Todd, you can get with me personally, but I need to know the status of the roof completions, and also need to know about the other ones, if we got any updates on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Patsy. Brian, I didn't mean to skip over you. Do you have anything this evening?
Thanks. I just want to also extend my congratulations to Wayne Beam on joining the board. Look forward to working with him, and also the other candidates that ran for school board. It was very clear. Each of them stepped forward with the spirit of service. A lot of good ideas and issues were brought to the forefront, and I think in any good campaign, you know, there's choices to be made of who sits in the seat, but oftentimes other issues are brought to the forefront because of people's willingness to simply get into the arena. And so I applaud all those folks, but certainly welcome Wayne and congratulate him. Also, congratulations to, as you were opening the meeting, you mentioned that Chair Galey and Commissioner Carter were in the audience. I want to congratulate them as well. Look forward to working with them on what can be a historic few years for Alamance County and moving us forward. One of the most pure and conservative things in government happened, which is a decision was made by the people. And absolutely overwhelming mandate by the citizens of Alamance County to move the facility maintenance and development of a better school environment for our children forward, and very much look forward to working with them and the entire Board of Commissioners as we make some important decisions, but hopefully implement a very strong voice that we heard several weeks ago. So with that, I will close. A lot of great comments. Interesting, Tony, I don't know if you know this, but others may be interested to know that that the book Tony referenced was the Common Reading, which means that every new student at Elon University read that book this past fall, and it has led to several great conversations, not just within the School of Education, but across all those who look for more equitable solutions to public education and really all types of choice in education. And the author of that book was on campus in Alamance County just this past fall, facilitating some discussions around the book. So a really great recommendation, Tony, and I look forward to reading the book myself. That's it, Allison. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Just so you know, Commissioner Gailey and Commissioner Carter were both smiling and nodding during your comments. So we have them on video camera, so we're all good. Thank you, Brian.
We love smiling and nodding, Commissioner.
Yes, we do. We do. Mr. Bean, you have any comments this evening?
Just glad to be here. I look forward to serving the students, the parents, and the educators in Alamance Burlington schools. As I look at the people sitting all around this podium here, each of you have been very welcoming to me and have made me feel welcome way before this evening, and I appreciate it. As I look at all the pictures, including this side, and all the pictures here of people who have served on the Board of Education, I've worked with everybody on this wall, and a lot of great role models. I had the great pleasure of working with excellent principals when I was a teacher, and great role models, and it's just my hope that I can give back. And that's the only reason I'm sitting up here.
Thank you.
Well, Patsy said I had to show you my socks.
Oh, gosh. Pam?
And they put you between me and Patsy.
Well, I did
Good luck with
question
that.
that when I walked in. Is this the in-school suspension side of the Board of Education?
I would like to thank Ms. Ravonda Johnson. We were presented about e-cigarettes and vaping at the North Carolina Child Fatality Task Force at the General Assembly, which I'm honored to serve on, just about how over-the-top dangerous this is and how our young people are getting so addicted to it. It's attractive, it's pretty, it's all this stuff, and they really market it toward this young population. The FDA is hammering down on that as far as the under 18 age, but they came and did a presentation. She got with them, and they come and presented to our principals out at Western High School the other week. And after hearing some of the concerns that our principals are having because of just how enormous this situation is, with plastic particles going in your lungs and having popcorn lung and the addiction toward it, and I promise you, it is not any better for you to sub that for smoking. It's all bad. So I just really appreciate you working with me when I got you that contact. That is so important to me, that safety come in all shapes and sizes for our young people. And our parents, if you're listening at home, please be guarded with that, because sometimes it's portrayed a lot different what it is, but it is very, very dangerous and addictive. And I also wanted to do something, because everybody knows how crazy over the top I am about safety and taking care of our kids. I wanted to point out, I'm not giving this out. In this bottle, this jar, there are 216. I wanted to get candy canes, but I couldn't find enough of them. So I just have the peppermints. And there are 216 of those in there. And when a kid is born, up until the time they're 18 years old, there are 216 months in their life as far as to get them through school and everything else. And this is like the most precious thing in the world, representing these months and these times of our children, because a school system has a lot of that time. And we're kind of like taking a little seed and we're planting it and we're watering it and we're growing it, because that's what we're doing. We're creating the future for the whole world to come to. And I want us to make sure we always take care of this. And every day is priceless, like we'll never get it back. And I want us to have the mindset that whatever it takes to keep a child safe, to keep a child healthy, to keep a child learning and excited, and just loving their school system, we have to have that same mindset. Our teachers do, our principals do, this board does, every family does, because we see a lot of breaks in the family unit when it comes to talking to children that are really suffering and having a hard time, what's going on in their life. And I just always encourage us to realize that with every month and every kid that comes to school, whatever they do, there's a why. They just don't get up that morning and just say, I think I'm going to show off at school today. No, there is a why, and we have got to get our minds around that every kid's got a reason, and sometimes it doesn't excuse that behavior, but it sure helps to explain it. So I just encourage us to have empathy and compassion and drive and high standards and accountability, all the good spirits that we should have, because every month we can't get it back, and it can go away so fast. I can't believe my children are in their 20s and they're gone as far as not living with me. My checkbook can, but I'm just saying, guys, we got to do as good, as better, as best as we ever have, because I just appreciate the leadership we've got, and I really do. I appreciate everybody in our cabinet, because I know how hard you work. And I just want to make a big statement. We are not in control of the weather. And I wish we were, because it would have never snowed. So I just encourage patience, and just a lot of patience from everybody that has a child that goes to school and you can't go to school yet. So please be patient, because I didn't ask it to snow. Nobody did. And we ain't even started with winter. It's just getting started.
I just want to say welcome to Wayne again. We're happy to have you and the knowledge that you bring to the table. And again, to Tony, and congratulations for his win as well. And I, again, look forward to working with this board, and always call me if you need me or have improvements for me to make. I want to know as your chair. And I would just want to thank Burlington Police Department this evening for being here. We appreciate you being here with us this evening. Tony?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make one last comment. I agree with Brian's sentiments in congratulating our elected commissioners, but I just wanted to extend a thanks to Mr. Bird. I didn't know who was going to be here tonight, but no one has been a staunch defender of public education like Bob has, and he served on our vision team, and I think that kind of motivated him to seek public office, and so he's been a friend to public schools, and I think we should, thank him for his service. So.
Thank you, Tony. I saw you sneak in very late, and I apologize for not acknowledging you, but we're glad you're here with us this evening. Dr. Benson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I would like to make a few remarks about what I hope is an unusual fall that we've had. This is my first fall in North Carolina, and 2 hurricanes and a pretty significant winter storm have caused us to miss a fair number of school days, and that's created some challenges for us. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to be in school again tomorrow. The roads just are not improving to the degree that we were hoping that they would be able to. So it means that we have missed 7 days since the beginning of school due to the hurricanes and to this recent snowstorm. One of which was forgiven by Senate Bill 2 that was passed in Raleigh, but the rest of them are on us in terms of having to make up. And that really is the challenge that we're having right now, is how do we make sure that we capitalize to the best degree possible the most valuable instructional time. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of options as we move further into the school year. We have a fair number of days in our calendar around the winter break. But as we progress past the winter break, and I don't know what typical January and February are, because these will be my first in North Carolina, but I hear tell that we might miss a few days here and there in January and February. And our ability to make those up, the further we go into the school year, it becomes more and more difficult. And it's not that there aren't other options for us to consider, which we may end up having to consider with the board, including things like increasing the length of the school day or Saturday days, or, we do have spring break sitting out there. But we made the decision to go on and take next week Friday and make that a school day for students, as well as January 3rd and and 4th to protect us going into the winter months and to try and capture some good instructional time with our students. We realize that may create some challenges for folks that have made plans for travel, and we will certainly work with folks to our best of our ability. It's just that it has been really unexpected for us, and we need to make sure that we're protecting that instructional time as much as possible, but also acknowledging that family time is important as well, and we're walking a line here. So we will continue to monitor. We hope that we'll be back in school on Friday, and we're not looking to have to make up an additional day. The board might want to take this fall into consideration and looking at the calendar, the proposed calendar for next year. There might be some changes that the board may want to consider to give us additional options. One thing that I've seen done in other divisions is identifying the days and then the order that you're going to take them in, so that you make it a little bit more predictable. We haven't done that in the past. So I wish we had a different way. I think that to have a better outcome here, but given the circumstances that we're in and the number of days that we've missed, we feel like this is our best option at this point in time.
Dr. Benson, could we do that for the rest of this calendar year at our next meeting?
In terms of looking at...
For the rest of this year, identify the order of the days and the things that we would do so people could plan the rest of this year. I mean, that's a great idea. I've never thought about that.
Certainly. We could have that discussion with the board, but I would encourage the board to not only look at the sequence of the days, what days they are, but where they are spread out throughout the course of the calendar. And if we think that we need to build in some time there to protect us against future inclement weather, in planning for next year, that's the time to think about how you might do things differently. But if it's the pleasure of the board, I think looking at the order that you would take days just gives folks a little bit more notice in terms of planning. If they know that this date is going to be the first date that we miss if we miss a date up to a certain point in time.
Well, hopefully the General Assembly will one day say that we need be in control of our own calendar, every school system.
Yeah, we have gotten some information from NCSBA and requesting that we support calendar law, so I will get that out to everybody to review. And we'll talk about that at work session as well. Also, just want to say thank you to Dr. Thorpe, and I think Jenny is a road rider. Y'all are amazing to get out in the wee hours of the morning and drive our roads. So for that entire team, thank you on behalf of the children and trying to keep them safe. We appreciate the work. And we know it's no fun, but we appreciate that. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
Okay. At this time, we will go into closed session. Brian, you have a motion for us?
Yes, I do. Hold on 1 second, please.
Okay.
I make a motion, we enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6 to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statute 115C-319 and 115C-321, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A8 to formulate and adopt school safety components of school improvement plans by a local board of education or a school improvement team.
Great. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. And you have another.
Yes, the last item, an administrative appointment, 2 recommendations today. The first is recommending Gay Sarton as interim assistant principal at Smith Elementary School for about a month's time, and then the recommendation of Matt Tedder as assistant principal at Smith Elementary School with a to-be-determined start date, but hopefully mid-January start.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the administrative appointment?
So moved.
Thank you, Wayne. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion or questions?
When did you say Gay starts?
Monday, the 17th.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Madden. Is there any further business to come before the board? Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Patsy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve.
Y'all want to
All
sleep?
those, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.